section. Yeah, but I've come across dscript.com recently.
I haven't heard of them.
Last year I did, but I've come back to it, and it's just amazing. Like I chat to people, record them, the chats, but they're like an hour long or 2 hours long, sometimes, whatever, and I just shove them sometimes up on a SoundCloud or up on YouTube. But I remember, like, in my head, I go, oh, there was a really good section where we talked about just something specific, and then another bit, but I can never find it again, and it's too hard. But this dscript.com, it transcribes the video, and it would have me and you talking, and you can edit the transcription like a Word document, and that's you editing the video and the audio. And then so literally I've been doing it the last 2 nights. I've been doing it. I got a 90-minute workshop I did 2 years ago, like Google Ads to like 17 business owners on a Zoom call, and I just uploaded it as is to YouTube. But I know I've got at least 20 sections in it because I wrote them all out before I went through the workshop, and I've been meaning to pull them out, and I'm just using Descript. I can just highlight the section that I want and then clip it to a new composition. It doesn't make a new file, and it's just, you edit that, get rid of the words, bang, you've got like a 4-minute little thing.
That sounds awesome. That sounds amazing. Awesome, because I mean, it allows you to basically manipulate the video file itself just by changing the words and changing the transcript. So that's amazing. I mean, I didn't know about that, so that's definitely very useful. Something very useful to have. I mean, when I was doing my podcast, right, we've done, I think, 64 episodes in total, but I had a VA helping me to manage it, and then I had my editor, and he would do all the editing, and then the transcripts, we just did them with rev.com. I mean, you've probably heard of it, but this sounds more advanced and much more easy to edit stuff.
Yeah, and they've got a beta thing now. They're getting more. They started as podcasting, but video it does as well. But they're going to get even more into video. In that, if there was that whole section that you just said, that those paragraphs, you could put a little slash before them in the transcript, and then a slash after for it, and that's a scene. And then you could just drag and drop some B-roll into that scene, boom, and it just is cut for that period.
That's an awesome tool. That's an awesome tool.
It's not just that it speeds things up. It's actually, I think what it does is it puts the power or the creativity back in your hands. Like, so I did the podcast, I did that workshop, so I know what I was trying to say. If I give it to someone else to do it, they're not going to pull out the bits how I would want it. I want it. Whereas I can actually do it. I know it took me, like, the first night I did it took me hours. I went to bed at 2 a.m. to get me 4 minutes, but now I'm fast. Last night I did 2 really fast because I know what I'm doing and I'm less fussy about it. And it's allowing, instead of having to go get to Rev to get the transcript, then to an editor who's then going to read it and figure out, I know at some point we talked about, and literally you can do a search through the transcript to find the moment,
the right moment.
Like, so when I loaded something up and the guest had spoke about a company he was going to work for, and he didn't want that, and it was confidential, he didn't want that on the podcast, so I just searched for it and I stripped it out. It was so easy. But it allows you as the creator to actually still retain control over it. You might not want to forever, because, like, obviously delegating stuff is good, but as you get better at it and more confident in the tool, you can just do takes, retakes, and say take 4 and then take 5, and then you just find all your takes, delete them, boom, and then you can get slick at it, and then you can hand it over to someone else to do it. Honestly, it's a game changer of a tool. Have a look at some of the videos on YouTube of storyboarding, Descript storyboarding. It just blows my mind how cool it is going to be when I get access to that part.
Yeah, I will definitely have. I mean, their pricing also seems very decent. So it's if you pay monthly, it's like 30 per month for the pro version of the software. So it's very affordable.
And then you can just like do all that simple stuff of like, oh no, now I want the video to be portrait, and they just rearrange the caption. It puts captions on, fancy captions.
Oh, I see.
Have fun. It's like the most magic tool. Here's me. I'm not an affiliate. I'm just telling you.
That's amazing. I mean, in our case, I remember with many of the episodes, I would have to locate the time when the thing that would have to be cut would be, right? So then I would need to listen to it. I would listen to it at like 2 or 3 times the speed so that it would go faster, and I could identify the bit and then tell my editor, cut this out here or do that. It was a much bigger hassle like that. The ability to search through it is great. I mean, this is one of the problems that I had with video in terms of courses and teaching people, right? Because video is not random access, so random access means that basically you can locate very quickly what you're looking for. It's like reading a book, right? A physical book versus reading it on your Kindle. Kindle is not random access, right? You have to flip page by page, and it's much harder to locate and move from page to page and find out what you're looking for. Whereas with the physical book, you just flip through it and it's much faster. So I always thought that even a teaching platform, like, we have Kajabi, Teachable, and so on, it would be very good if you had the ability to basically search through video somehow. And I think that doing it via a transcript like that is a very good way to do it.
The way I've done I'm using New Zendler, which is like Kajabi. I love it. I think it's brilliant. I just want an all-in-one platform. I'm an ex-IT dude. I know the pain of integrating.
How is it called?
New Zendler, new space Zenler. So I think it's like Kajabi. It's like a lighter weight version or something, but I find it's brilliant. I love it. And you can do all my email stuff, and I can, so I have people signing up to my Google Ads Jumpstart, which is like $25 a month, and they get access to courses. My because it's Google Ads, it's the 4th time redoing all the courses because they keep changing the interface and stuff like that. My original version is better than what I've got now. What I've got now is chunks of like 5 to 10 minutes of doing this, then this, then this, and this. My original version, I made it really, really short videos, so that people could find exactly what they wanted. So like how to create a campaign, how to create an ad, how to create keywords, how to do this. And so people loved the fact that they were so short, but also I didn't even introduce the video. I didn't say, in this video, we'll show you how to create the keywords, because it's titled that. It just go bang, straight in, bang, finish. If it's 30 seconds, it's 30 seconds. If it's a minute, nothing was more than 4 minutes. And people loved the fact that they could come back later when they were trying to do something. Oh God, I can't remember how to add a site link or whatever. And they could find the lesson and just watch that lesson.
That's a smart thing, yeah.
Yeah, that was my way around the whole thing of like a 60-minute video. Where did they find the bit they want? And then just recently, I've decided, I've created a module. I've called it SOPs, Standard Operating Procedures, and I've given my team access to the membership as well. And I'm just going to put down my instructions on how to do specific things into that as standard operating procedures area for my team, but all the members get access to it as well. There'll be things like how to monitor something hourly. That was the first one I've done. So I'm just going to start adding things in as I train people up and go, oh, I need to write a procedure for that. Well, I put it into the module, and then other people can get access to it, but they're going to be short and sharp, and they're not even going to be videos. They're probably going to be me writing and with screenshots, because that is a lot quicker for people to whiz through. A lot quicker. So I may even change when I have to redo my course again, because I think I have this time again. I may not do video. I may do writing and screenshots, because I think it's easier for people to consume. And there will be some parts that like it's better when they hear me talking and then my thought process and that stuff when I'm auditing an account or something. But when they want a repeatable process, they don't want to have to keep going through a video. So that was one thing. What else was I going to say about the teaching? Oh, right, okay. The other thing about New Zendler is I can also, those people who signed up to be members, I can send, I didn't realize, but the interface for New Zendler allows me to send emails, and the criteria are really like amazing criteria. It's like, active campaign style, where I can say, I want to send an email to people who are enrolled in this course, in this membership, who have not opened a particular email or have opened a particular email, or have, I just typically say all the people who are enrolled, I send them an email, and the email might be something like, oh, I've just created an SOPs area, I've added this, or another one that sent a couple of nights ago, was, oh, I've just added a new video to YouTube. It took me 2 hours to reduce it down to 4 minutes. Anyway, it's up here. And so it's actually a paid email newsletter, as well as being a courses library. I like to think of mine as a library.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So there's all these I'm really interested in paid email newsletters. And there's all these platforms like Substack, Review, that's specifically for newsletters. Then you've got obviously MailChimp and ActiveCampaign and ConvertKit and whatnot, email service providers. What I like about New Zendler is it's an email service provider. You could sign up to my newsletter and I can give you access to courses, free courses at the same time. Or you could sign up for courses and you get access to an email newsletter. So I can do both. I can do better than courses. I can do better than email newsletters by having them all combined.
I see. That's very interesting. I mean, I'm looking at it now. One of the problems, I mean, I'm using Kajabi at the moment for training materials that I have. But one of the bigger issues with Kajabi is that you're sort of limited in terms of the automations that you can have and that you can put in there, unless of course you bring in other tools like Zapier and so on and so forth. And also Kajabi is, I really use only a very small portion of the functionalities that Kajabi has, right? Because they have so much functionalities with landing pages and whatnot, and I don't use any of that. I pretty much just use it to host the files and for people to be able to access them, watch them, and for me to obviously see the stats, how much of the video have they watched and that sort of thing. I'm looking at this and I mean, it looks good, Zendler.
You can create landing pages with it. I found that's why I moved from Thinkific. Actually, my headphones aren't even working. You're coming out my mic. You're probably hearing me from that. Whatever. And I can't get it to work. So Thinkific's landing page creator was awful. So I switched to New Zendler, and it's great. Not only does it, when you create a course, it automatically creates 4 pages for you. The sales page, the checkout page, the course access page, if you're a student, and then some other page, I can't remember, a thank you page after they've checked out, and then the actual course access, and you can edit each of those. But it automatically creates them. They're all linked up. And the editor is like a WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. Move stuff around. It's got loads of blocks and templates and things you can just add in. Really simple. So I like that. The email stuff is great. The actual course access area is, as you'd expect, just nice and simple. I get to see when people go through, watch videos, etc., how much they've completed. What else? I've got all the dashboard. Right, even Lex DeVille, he switched from a WordPress combination.
I also use a WordPress combination. Yeah,
I was like, go and use Zendler, and he's gone to it. He's like, oh, he loves it. He absolutely loves it immediately. He loves it, and it has a very sort of simple community kind of area. I don't bother using it. I don't really want to create a community. Sorry, a forum. I don't want to create a forum kind of community where I want to. Many conversations going on. I just want, I'll send an email. If you've got questions, you reply to me. I will send an email to everybody with the answer, or I will create a video with the answer, and that way I just think in my head that would be more scalable for me anyway.
Yeah. I mean, it does make sense. One of the things I wanted to ask you about Zendler is how, do you do your payments through it as well? And if payments are done through it, how do you manage with the invoices? Because here, one of the reasons actually why I've used WordPress, even now, so even the people that I onboard into our consulting business, basically, we bring them in and they make their payment through our WordPress website. The website issues an invoice to them automatically, and we need a very specific format for the invoice. Like they need to enter their company number if they want an invoice on a company, the address of the company, the name, and all sorts of other details, tax ID, stuff like that. And we need to enter them in a particular format. So that's one of the reasons why I pretty much had to do WordPress, because the government here locally insists that we have a very specific format. And then there's also VAT issues within the EU, right? So if it's like a person, right, it's very different to if it's a company. And we need to be able to distinguish between the two, and also obviously check their VAT numbers and make sure that they are real And so we've spent a lot of time and a lot of money basically implementing that into WordPress to be able to do it. So I wanted to ask you, how does Zendler do it? Number
that's
one,
the
and number
downside.
two,
It doesn't send invoices. So, and I raised that with them as well. If somebody, I've only had one person in over a year since I've been using Zendler, maybe 2 years actually. And only one person's ever asked for invoices. And then I just went and created something and sent it to them. So it doesn't do the invoicing. I'm not all that VAT stuff of, which country they're in, all that stuff doesn't do that either. So with my accountant, I just say, assume, I will pay whatever taxes I have to pay to the government. There's just I don't care. I might be making savings if I had done all that, but I'd rather not. Just get it, just simplify it and get it done.
I see.
For me at the moment, it's not a big enough revenue stream for me to like try and fix it, if you know what I mean. So I think I'm only at the moment, probably, mind you, I had 6 or 7 signups in the last 10 days. I don't even know where they're coming from.
Nice.
It's like, so 25 a month. Like, one person churned who's like at least a year old, because I recognize the email address, but I don't know where they're coming from. And like, I'm messaging my developers, like, and he's saying, can we like tag them? I said, but they're not coming. They're all coming from andyblack.net, which is like my little website. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's just
I have seen it. The link tree.
It's very simple. It's not a link tree. We've got my developer to create it. Super simple, but people are finding that from Facebook,
social media, all sorts of places.
I don't know. So if they get to there, then they go to my courses and sign up. I've no idea. They're coming from andyblack.net, but how do they get to there? I don't know. I suspect I've been a little bit more active in Rob O'Rourke Fox's group. And I did a little call 2-3 weeks ago. Okay, that makes sense, doesn't it? About a 2 hour, it was supposed to be an hour, but I never talked for it was supposed to be about how to start and grow a business selling Google Ads as a service. So I did like an hour and a half of that. But the thing is, I've done a Google Ads course for Rob's school, so I don't know why they've come over to mine as well.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
But it is cheap enough, right? 25 a month for the right person is nothing. If somebody's growing a business, they're like, okay, that's for nothing. And then I'm slightly more active. LinkedIn. We were chatting on LinkedIn. Which, that's what we were going to chat about originally, about this. But I've dropped LinkedIn. I was like, I forget that. I can't be bothered. I've dropped Twitter, and I'm going back to fiddling around on YouTube, which actually just means creating videos. Because if I can figure out how to create a video in a good format, then I will go and put it onto LinkedIn and Twitter and whatnot, I suppose.
I mean, that does. So first, to address the invoicing thing, so a follow-up from it. So is it possible to add people into what you build on Zendler? So they pay you separately, let's say, and then you would add them in. So that's okay. And
then you can tag them. I did that last night with a friend who I've given access, and I tagged them with like complimentary access. So you can create a tag so that you can find all those people.
Makes sense. And can you also drip the content to them?
I believe so. I've not done it, but I believe you can drip the content as well.
Yeah, because that's an important, because I mean the way my training is set up is that it's week by week, and I don't want them to go ahead, because then they sort of lose focus on what they're supposed to focus in that week. So I want them to actually keep it piece by piece, so to speak, until obviously they get access to the whole thing and they can turn around and go to whichever part they want. No, that makes great sense. Now about LinkedIn and about YouTube, I think YouTube is great, but I've noticed that a lot of people are switching in terms of shorts. And creating shorts and very small videos. So at the moment for myself, I'm just using LinkedIn really as a storehouse of free value for people. So people, for example, would come on my website, they're interested in what I do, they would go to the resources, and then they would find the YouTube channel there. I found a great way to do it in terms of teaching people. So basically what I do is I take, I mean, if you go to my YouTube channel, you'll be able to see this, but basically they can see me in the corner of the screen. And then I also use an iPad with a stylus, right? And basically you can draw stuff, you can create stuff for them, you can go through slides and annotate them. And I found it very useful as a teaching method for people, because then they don't just see you talking, they also see something visual that's helpful to them. And even if you prepare some slides in advance, they don't have to be complex. Like, for example, let's say that you want to draw a diagram, you can just draw the axis and then you just draw it by hand. So it's interactive, and people also tend to enjoy that type of content, I found, and follow it.
Yeah. Right, so the ones I was doing last night, that workshop I did, that 90-minute thing 2 years ago,
with many business owners, the one with many business, I've watched that one. So
what did I try? I tried flip charts, but it's too far away to see, and then it's all flicking backwards and all this stuff. I tried PowerPoint slides, but I hate creating. It just kills me. But what I found was there's a girl, I've forgotten her name, Rachel Miller. She's got a great channel. She's like Facebook organic growth kind of stuff.
I think I've come across her.
Yeah, and she does little post-its and drawing and blah. So I tried that for that presentation. I just got a clipboard, and I had card, and I had a pen, and I scribbled on it, and it went down so well.
Wow.
It went really well, because I'm actually physically drawing, but I have to come close, and I can stand, and I'm moving in and out, and it becomes really personal.
And I see what you mean.
And then also I can move, put it down and get another, and then you see me like in the video, oh right, where's my pens? I'm grabbing a pen. Someone says something, I'm like, oh, it's a bit like this and that. And it is it's quicker than trying to do it on, well, not just quicker, but it's also more easier to read, whatever. It's more natural than on because I tried on the iPad as well. Vittle is a great little thing that I had on an iPad, Vittle. It's an app, and you can do these drawings, these doodles on the iPad, record them. I think it's really cheap. Had it years ago, and our kids could use it. It was amazing. You can draw and write on it, but then you can lasso a little part of it and then actually move it.
Oh,
move things out on your drawing. I was like, oh my god! And the kids were getting little men jumping and creating little videos of people jumping over hurdles and stuff.
I see it. I mean, I use something that's similar. I use Notability. So it's actually this note-taking app, but obviously you can drag pictures into it. You can draw diagrams. You can lasso it, as you said, and move it around, make it bigger, make it smaller. So I mean, that's sort of what I've been using. And in terms of recording, I mean, it was a bit complicated, because I tried to connect my iPad to my computer with a cable, but somehow, I mean, it would start charging it, right? But very mysteriously, I couldn't find it on the computer. Then I tried with another cable, and still the same thing. And then I bought this Ndi software from the App Store. And that Ndi software basically allows me to stream the iPad screen onto OBS. So I'm not sure if you are familiar with OBS. It's like a free software for recording and whatnot. So that's what I do. I just stream it, and then I also add my webcam to put a picture of me in the corner. And that's basically how I do it.
Yeah, very good. I just sometime try that flip chart thing. The amount of energy it gives you, and I think it sucks people in, because you go, can you see that? And then you get really close, so they can see it. And it becomes,
it's a lot more intimate like that.
Intimate, that's the word. Yeah, it's real personal, even though like you might be presenting to a lot of people. Look, I do that because I'm constantly doodling when I'm chatting to folks having a coffee.
I have my notebook here as well. So
it's natural for me to do that. Right. The thing about shorts, I watched a video last night. I know when I'm getting into something, I just watch videos on it on YouTube. I'm just like, well, the kids are on the computers and I haven't got access to anything. And the maths of it was interesting. So this girl was just quickly explaining why shorts are doing so well, and she was saying, right, the average, let's say the average video is 10-minute long, video is 10 minutes long, and on average people watch 50%, so they watch 5 minutes. YouTube has to show up 12 videos for somebody to watch for an hour. Okay, but with shorts, a short is 30 seconds long. Let's say people watch half of that, so that's 15 seconds that they watch. So now YouTube has to show up, I think it was 240 videos an hour to keep somebody,
Mm-hmm.
entertained for an hour. And it's not just YouTube doing that. TikTok has to do that, and so does Instagram Reels.
Yeah.
So they're crying out for videos, and they will serve the videos up, and that's why they get
Much
so
more.
many
Oh,
views.
I see.
Yeah?
I see. So the algorithm prefers the shorts at the moment, based on what you're saying.
Now, whether it prefers shorts or not, I don't know. What I mean is, for them to get the amount of watch time that they want, like an
Yeah, they
hour,
need a lot more
they
shorts.
need a lot more shorts rather than the big ones.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
if you create shorts, YouTube, all these platforms are likely to get you, or try and get you lots of views, and
More
obviously your
views than
view
with
count is going to
videos.
go
Yeah.
up because it doesn't take so long.
Yeah,
to watch
that
the
makes
thing.
sense.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
And like, so I've my shortest video that I created in the last 3 days, it cut down. It's like down to 4 minutes. The next one was exactly 4 minutes again. The next one was 2 minutes, and I was like, wow. I wonder how if I can even take parts out of this and make a really small version of a short. I've got it, and using Descript, I've got the composition. I can just select, highlight the text that I want, clip to composition, it'll create a new composition, and then I change it to be in portrait, and then I rearrange the captions a little bit. Bang, I've got 90-second or 30-second things. So I'm itching to have a go with that. And this is just from one 90-minute workshop. Now, granted, it's like probably the best. I've got everything, all my thinking in it. But like when me and you having a chat, if I had my mic working or whatnot, or even not, so like the rawer ones kind of sometimes work better. But we could put out little snippets that are perfect. It's almost like tweets, isn't it?
Yeah,
they're like true. Tweets. They're Twitter for video. Yeah, you just pull a little thing out, and how many can you get in a day? How many could you produce out of 1 hour of content? How many could you produce?
A lot.
Using tools like that, you could have so many coming out. And then the other interesting thing, I've been kind of deep diving into the sort of faceless YouTube channel sort of that people create. There's so many of them, like top 10 this or top 10, Ronaldo.
A lot of those use animations, I found, especially on like more abstract topics.
Yeah, there's some do animations, but there's a lot. If you think like kind of the big massive like football, soccer.
Yeah, football. There's
like Ronaldo, penalties, or Ronaldo free kicks, or it'll be Messi this, and or it might be rugby, or it might be boxing.
Best 5 goals, or yeah.
And like those are so easy to create. Now I haven't figured out the kind of the copyright issues and stuff, but there are channels, and all they're doing is creating these little compilations or top 10s or the best bits. And I find myself watching these, like if I go to bed, I might be watching some rugby stuff. I'm just watching this guy and all his best tries, and this guy and all his best tries, and the next video, or I might watch like Western shootouts, and it's got like top 5, and it'll be like, or top 5 Clint Eastwood shootouts. And so people like, I don't understand quite how the copywriting works on that, but they are creating quite quickly using other people's content, like a little compilation that I actually, I like watching it. It saved me the time of going to find and scrolling through, trying to find that little section that I remember. There's that great shootout. I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
So there's people doing stuff like that. And I'm trying to figure out how, I may have a good little go, create a little faceless YouTube channel that's not related to business, just something completely random.
Oh, nice.
And just figure out how it all works. Or maybe I do something business related, because whatever, it all ties in. But I'm finding there's tools. I don't know if you found them yet, but obviously there's tools that can transcribe the written word. So you write an article, you can get it written by a bot. You can train these tools so that they narrate it. They narrate it with your voice.
Oh.
Yeah.
10 minutes I see.
Training it, and then it will speak it in your voice.
That's interesting. Yeah.
That's like mad. And then you can put these into some tools, into scenes, into the storyboard, and the AI will go and find videos to match the words.
Oh, nice.
And now it doesn't always work well, but then you can just go do a search for the videos, and like millions of videos, and then you can just replace it with that. So one guy, there's a channel called Dream Cloud on YouTube, and I've watched some of his videos, shared them with Lex as well, and he just shows. Now he creates a terrible video in his demo, but he uses Writer, I think it is, some AI tool to write a script. He goes looking for a high viewed video in a particular niche. He copies the title, he gets the AI tool to come up with 3 different combinations. He picks one, gets the AI tool to write the script, paragraphs. He shoves that into another tool to narrate it. So he's got the voice. He then goes to another tool to create some music, unique music, royalty free, in this style. He just specifies a style. Boom, it creates that. Then he goes and gets videos to match, like B-roll to match each piece, and boom, he uploads it.
Yeah, the video is ready. I see he has quite a lot of subscribers. He has around 200K.
Oh yeah, because a lot of people are interested in this make money easy online and recurring, all that kind of blah, and that's sort of who he's appealing to. But
I see.
I can't help thinking, if people like me and you, like a bit more marketing brain than the average person reading those, and who have a script already, you've written something. You're not going to use an AI tool to write a script. Like, so I've got content. I can't help thinking, I've got content already written in the forum that I know helps people, and it constantly people, replying to it, going, "Oh, this really helped." I know it helps people. So I was going to LinkedIn to try and post it there and help more. But then on LinkedIn, you post it, it's gone. It's just disappeared after a while.
That's true.
Yeah, but if I could figure out now, obviously, if I could take the written text and put it onto a blog, but so what? It's not very interesting. But if I could take that written text and somehow make a video out of it, now possibly me narrating it, my voice, getting properly narrating it, not getting a bot to impersonate me, and then creating a video out of it somehow, maybe B-roll. So maybe it's a faceless channel, doesn't need to have me on it, and I just narrate it, and boom, it's up, and then create the video. And if you could do one, he's got that. So that guy says, if you can do a video in an hour and do one a day, just in an hour, but from start to finish, of the research of what you're going to do, the script, like everything, how can you do it in an hour? I've no idea. That just seems crazy.
Yeah, it seems difficult. I mean, these creative things, they just take time by themselves, because you sort of have to decide what's going to go into it in the first place. I think that's the hard part. I mean, to me, and I mean, even while I'm building something, I'm still taking things out, putting new things in, and doing that sort of work. And really, that sort of work takes a long time, because you're not sure beforehand what's really going to work and is going to deliver a great product. And so you need to try a lot of different ideas. And then, it's like you're actually building a sculpture, so bit by bit, you take a bit more out of here, you add a bit more here, till you get the final result. And that sort of experimentation is like essential, and it just takes time. I mean, if I know perfectly what I want from the very beginning, which is very hard to know, then I can imagine that you can do it pretty quickly, because you just have a very clear idea. But I found that developing that clear idea just takes time.
Yeah, okay, so 2 things on that. One, I think posting in forums, like you post in the Fastlane forum, maybe others in groups, is where you are polishing that content. You've, like, a few times you help people. If someone asks something, you tell them. They don't get it, you reply. They don't get it, you reply. Next time you go, oh. Next time someone asks, you know how to reply better, because you've figured out. And then it's someone else again. And then the 3rd time you go, you know what, I don't need to create a thread for this, so I don't have to keep, so I can just point people
saying the same thing. Yeah,
so once you've got that polished written content, and that's where I think we beat those folks who are just going to get an AI tool to write something, and then they just you've polished something that helps people, gets good feedback. And to me, it's like that's like 80% of it done.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, sorry, that's
the hard
80%
part.
that took the hard work, the time, that tiny bit on the end of converting that into a video on YouTube in such a way that I don't really understand is the SEO and how you get it found, and the thumbnails and all that stuff I hate doing. Okay, but if you can take that content that helps people and somehow put it in a format in front of YouTube, which is craving for good videos to keep people on the platform, and if like enough people watch it, and then YouTube, like, I don't know if you read James Jarney's thread.
And I've watched his
where
chat channel.
Where it's just, and he explains, as it gets more watch time, Google just going to show it to more and more people? You know, if somehow the likes of me, you, and other people who've done all that hard work to create some good piece of content, written content, if we can figure out how to convert that quickly into like a good video. Now, the thing about James Jarrett, his editing is like top rock. Look, his storytelling,
amazing,
his research, his storytelling, everything is top notch. We've done a lot of that, maybe not the storytelling side, but we've done a lot of that, but we haven't, and I don't want to be as good as him as an editor. I just want to be good enough. And when you see, if you watch that Dream Cloud and see the videos that he comes up with, and you realize, oh, I've watched videos like that, and you realize how bad they are. I watch the videos my kids are watching, and like, how many views has that got? 2 million views in the last week. What? It's like, you know, and it's just kind of garbage. It's just garbage. But there's something those people are doing where they don't care about the quality. We do, but if we can take a leaf out of their book and add our quality to it, you know.
I think that the missing bit for a lot of people, myself included, is the entertainment aspect. Because I think that people like us, we have great knowledge in terms of what we know and how we can help people. But I think that what many people, and what I've noticed from being on the forum as well, is that many people lack the entertainment aspect. And I think that on social media, that's very important. You know, so I think the ideal is if you can put very valuable content in a very entertaining format. That's when I think you get that sort of explosion. I mean, James Jani is a great example, because James Jani's videos are very entertaining. You know, they're not just smart and intelligent about the topics, but they're also entertaining and fun to watch and interesting. You know, they draw you in. It's like a good novel, right? It draws you in. And that's, I mean, the way I feel very often about my own stuff is that it's sort of like a training manual. So that's good for a specific subset of people, like who are really serious about that and really want to get very in depth into it. But it's not so good for the people who are exploring something. I think that the entertainment side of things draws a lot more people in.
Yeah. Okay. So I 100% agree. And I can't, let me think about this. I don't want to mess about on my channel with these different ideas and styles, hence go and creating a faceless one and mucking about on it. Yeah, so I can just try things. And hence also, but what if I did rugby? Because I like watching rugby videos, or boxing, or whatever, you know. Pick a sport I like watching. I find myself watching an hour's worth of videos going, oh damn, I'm supposed to be working, whatever. Yeah. And if I go and create my own little videos of all the favorite clips, and then I go and put a channel, then, well, the stuff I am doing it for myself, so I can go and watch the videos later. But the amount of I'm going to learn about how to create a video just to get it watched, the entertainment value of it, and the cuts and the music and the blah and the stuff I would never put on my own channel. Because I'd be slightly embarrassed to put it. In fact, I would be embarrassed. I don't want to do all the pops and the explosions and things. It's like, no, dude. Like, that might appeal to loads of other people. It's going to turn off the actual people who really are going to hire me, kind of thing. It's just, well, it won't, or maybe it doesn't. Maybe that's just a limiting belief. But that's why I think potentially, like, you know, like Lex is going to do it. He's got his own main channel where he talked about freelancing and other stuff.
I know his channel as well.
And then he's going to create a completely faceless, no voice from him anyway, music and blah and whatnot, completely separate channel, completely unrelated to business. And I'm going to do the same, at least one anyway. And it might be still business related. I might still do something business related rather than rugby, but I won't have my face on it. I won't have my name on the channel. I might have me narrating stuff or whatever, but so that's why I'm tempted to do that. I think that could be a good exercise for exactly what you've just said. Mine stuff isn't that entertaining. How to make it entertaining, like car chasing, explosions and blah. You know, I do have, like, he's raised the bar, or set the bar, James Jani, with his, like, you know, the cuts and the story and the movie, the way he does it all. Like, how can you do something like that with, you know, 80% of his standard. It doesn't have to be like at that level, but good enough. Because if you watch the dross that is out there on YouTube, go and watch some of the how to make money. That instantly brings up rubbish videos. How to make money with faceless videos or faceless YouTube channels. You'll learn some fascinating stuff about, because those guys are kind of bleeding edge of spam, in my opinion, kind of. They produce spam, but the tools they use to quickly create this stuff is tools that we can use to quickly put our better thoughts into a video.
That makes sense. That makes sense, because for them it's all about the quantity, right? So they need to be able to churn massive quantity, and the tools that they use are obviously useful for that.
Like there's one, it's called InVideo. Is a tool that a lot of them are using, and literally it has all the scenes and you just put the writing. So what did he do? Top 10 most beautiful cities in the world. He Googled it, he got an article, a listing, and that was the title. Then he had number 1, this city from that, and he got narrated, and then he got the AI to find pictures of them. Boom, he had a 10-minute, 40-second video. I was like, you don't even know if those pictures are even of the city. You've no clue. It's like you've not fact checked anything. Like, is that a pic? Oh my god! And then you can see, like, you see videos now, and it'll be like things of animals, and it's blatantly the wrong animal, or misspellings, and it's just like people who don't even understand English are probably just creating these. There's an SOP, and they're just following these. There's what I said, a message to Lex. I said, I bet there's sweatshops in some country, people churning out 30-second videos.
There must be. I mean, there are things like that with click farms in many places, and it can mess up your ad stats a lot, especially on Facebook. You can get affected by them. I mean, if you don't know how to set up the ad, you risk just getting a lot of those spam bots. And the bad thing is that then the algorithm brings more of them. Once they come in, it starts optimizing for them, right?
How do they make money? How do they make money from that?
I don't know. The thing is, with click farms, they are run typically. So for example, let's say that you are running ads and one of your competitors wants to screw your ads up. So then they would just send the click farming traffic and get the algorithm to work against you.
Okay, right. So they're not making money doing it.
They're selling the service, but the thing is, the reason why they're doing it is because they need to stay undercover. So if they just did this on the ads that they were attacking, then it's very easy for the Facebook algorithm or Google algorithm or whatnot to catch them, right? So they also do it on random ads, right? So it doesn't seem like there's anything out of place. So they comment, they like, they subscribe to forums, they go to landing pages, they do pretty much all the free tasks that you can do that don't cost money, so that they look organic,
right?
And that's basically what they have to do to avoid the algorithm. So their main business is basically selling clicks and whatnot, and people usually buy to send them to competitors and do that kind of stuff. But then aside from that activity, the biggest chunk is actually trying to cover themselves up and prevent the algorithms from catching them. I mean, I did a podcast episode on this in one client account. This is like 2 years ago. It was a Facebook account, and they hired my agency, and they were getting a lot of traffic and a lot of signups on Facebook and whatnot for their webinar, right? But there were no conversions pretty much. And the webinar was good, so I was like, why are there no conversions here? And then I was like, well, let's start tracking the IPs of the people, right? To see what's actually happening and who's actually getting to the thank you page once they sign up. And we started tracking that separately from Facebook and what Facebook was reporting. And we noticed that a very large percentage of it, even though Facebook was set to target USA only, was sending traffic from countries like India, Bangladesh, and countries like that. So basically we figured out that that traffic isn't real pretty much, and it's not relevant, so we have to get rid of it. So that's pretty much how we figured it out. And we had this software that would take the IPs and then geolocate them and plug them on a map so we could see them, and we could calculate what percentage was basically from the US and what percentage from the rest of the world. And initially we had like 97% outside of the US and 3% within US. And then after we've done our changes and we changed it to start tracking for purchases instead of signups, we started shifting it to the point that it got to mostly US based, and sales started coming in pretty much every day from that point onward. But I mean, if you just think about it, you can waste a lot of money with this. And I mean, obviously companies like Google and Facebook, they do have in their policies that they protect against this, and they always try to stay one step ahead of the game. But then, I mean, you never know, because I mean, how does it affect them badly? If this stuff happens, they still make money. They perhaps make more of it. So it's sort of like a double-edged sword, so to speak.
Yeah, you remind me, I had a client in the US, and apparently this is rife in the locksmiths industry. And literally they had to have like a 5K a day budget, because in the morning, some click farm or whatever the heck would use up $3,000 of their budget.
Wow, yeah.
And if they genuinely had the 500 or 1,000 a day budget, boom, it would have gone, and then their ads wouldn't have showed in the app. It would have just stopped showing for the rest of the day. So they had to have it at 5K, 3K. Yeah. I'd watch it go, phew, the spend, but then the next day Google would refund a lot of it.
Yeah.
So the proper spend,
they catch
500, 700, whatever it was. But I was like, are you serious? And then we've done the same. We've had to, is it ClickSees? I think, I can't remember which software we're using for some of our other clients, where it's like $100 a click kind of stuff. And we just put on the software to try and reduce the amount of any just dodginess going on. I don't even know how it works, but it's helped a little bit. But because those cost per clicks are so high, we just put it on every client that comes in that niche. We just
yeah.
And then I've actually worked for a business that was, it's not as bad as those dudes are a black hat. They were more gray hat. It was like, it was okay with Google. But they were doing arbitrage. Basically, they were buying visitors from Google who were searching for something. They'd have an ad on Google. This was years ago when you had ads on the right-hand side. I don't think it probably works now. So there'll be 3 ads at the top, load on the app right-hand side, and they could only bid really low, and they'd be at the bottom. You'd click on that ad, you'd end up on another page that looked, actually, they were a partner with the Ask web search engine.
Search engine, yeah.
So
Ask
they could send
Jeeves,
people
I
to
remember
Ask,
that.
Ask Jeeves, which is a search engine with Google Ads at the top and the sides.
Oh, yeah.
And they were making money from people clicking those ads. And obviously there's a revenue share with Google, and the revenue share would Ask, and then they got their cut. And obviously not everybody clicked on the ads, but they balanced it so
that's
that.
Interesting. Yeah, I see what you mean.
Right. So what were the rules? You could only send visitors from Google. We could only buy visitors from Google. We couldn't do it from, could we do search partners? I'm not sure, but certainly couldn't do display. Display is super dodgy.
It's hard to get. I mean, I have a friend who does, he sells really white label products. He's based in Europe, but he brings them from China, from all over the place, and he's doing quite a big sums in terms of revenue, like 200, 300K per month. And he's using full-time. I mean, he used to use Facebook, but his account got banned on Facebook. Now he's just using display ads. And it's possible to make them work, but I remember that he struggled for many months to get it to that point. It can definitely be dodgy.
Yeah, right. Okay, so there can be, I'm trying to remember how this works. You might have a website, it's a UK website, and people will pay to have ads show on your UK website. It's a .co.uk, get a load of traffic, and they'll pay to have the ads running, flat month fee, or pay for every click from their ad and blah. And then you could potentially go and get visitors from a really cheap country that's not the UK to that website, and make it look like there's a load of, so there's all this sneakiness going on, and I hate it. And But the thing is, like, as a media buyer, you kind of have to know how to try and stop this stuff happening for your clients.
Yeah.
So like Google's settings, we noticed that when we were buying visitors, spending 4K a day, buying visitors to a website, we were, it was jobs in locations in the UK, and we'd loaded up all the cities in the UK.
Yeah.
And we'd set it so that we were targeting the UK, only people in the UK. When the techies, the actual developers, looked at all the IP addresses people coming in, we were like, load of people from India. And we're like, but we've got this setting, so it's targeting the UK. Why would they be coming from India? Turns out there was this is where I found that other extra setting. It's slightly hidden. You have to click on options, it'll expand it out for the expert options and location settings. And one of the options effectively says that it's asking, do you want people to, do you want to target people who you said you want to in the locations that you said you want the campaign targeting to be? So it's like you say it to be in the UK, and then later on it says,
are you sure you don't want us to expand the targeting?
Yeah. So yeah, it was like so annoying once we found that and we turned that off. Basically, what's happening was people might be looking for, solicitors, lawyers' jobs in York. There's a York and there might be a York in India as well. So Google was going, oh, they probably meant that York, didn't they? And at least 5-10% of our
and
spend,
they take your money. Yeah,
it's like there's 4 Dublins, I believe, in the US, and there's one in Ireland. And if you don't set up that setting correctly in your Google Ads account, you're going to be showing for people looking for plumbers in the wrong Dublin. And Google's like, oh no, but you set that so like they were interested in Dublin. You're like, no, I know.
Yeah. There's a lot of little tricks like this which you have to know when running ads. And I mean, these are a lot of the shortcomings. And I mean, this is why it's hard to hire somebody in terms of your agency who's going to run ads without training them. Because even if they go through most of the courses that are out there, you don't find a collection of all these small little tricks that you need to know. Right. So it's hard to, I mean, that's sort of what I've experienced inside the agency as well. And even the client that I told you about previously, they had worked with 3 agencies before they came to us, and nobody figured out why. They kept changing the webinar, but nobody figured out why they weren't converting on there. And I mean, if you don't go back to first principles really and start thinking about, because that's what it is, right? It's about thinking what may actually be going on there, so that you're getting that data. And I mean, this is a skill that's hard to train, but I find that it's very important in business, being able to reduce things to their basic form and truly understand what's going on. I mean, I see that you do this all the time with concepts that you're explaining on the forum, right? And you try to reduce them to the essence, like what's the essence of business? I think you say, help people get paid and then help more people, right? So stuff like that. I think that stuff like that is very valuable. And then being able to use it in particular situations.
Yeah, that's interesting. There's a user MTF. I didn't realize, but he doesn't like the one-liners. I like it. So I did reply to
Martin. I like him.
I like the one-liners. I wrote the one-liner, but then I gave the explanation, one-liner explanation.
Yeah.
And you know what? That is exactly the kind of stuff that I would like to put up onto YouTube or whatever other platforms. So once it took me years to figure out, oh, it's really that simple. And the only reason it's not simple is because you've flipping overcomplicated it, with all that stupid stuff about this, that, and the next thing that you've read in some book that you didn't realize you needed to do. Now you think you do need to do, and all of a sudden you think there's 200 other things you don't know about that you need to do. So now you're off down the rabbit hole of consuming to try and blah 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 and more, and then you never
that's a big trap. That's a big trap. And I mean, I've fallen in it several times. There's a great book, and it's in one of his books, I can't remember which one, by a philosopher, Schopenhauer, and he says in that book, be careful not to read too much, because then you stop learning how to think for yourself and you just get used to accepting other people's thoughts. And I think that that's certainly true to a certain degree. Like if you read too much, then you pretty much stop thinking with your own thoughts, right? And you just default to the thinking patterns that you see from other people.
Yeah.
So I mean, it definitely goes both ways. I think there has to be a balance between, you know, taking action basically and studying or learning.
Yeah. I go in little phases of bored, don't want to study anything, and then all of a sudden, like the last weekend, faceless fit. What are they doing with these faceless YouTube channels and videos and how do you get content? And boom, before I know it, I've like consumed like 3 hours worth of YouTube and videos and whatnot. So I'll go through that phase, but that's because I've butted up against something, trying to figure something out with my own channel, and I'm doing this, and how does that work? And then I find something. So for me, yeah, action. I start with the action, going off, charging, breaking things, just making a mess, and then going, okay, now, how do I not do that? And then reading. But if I go, like, I've been going for walks, and I've been tempted to put on a podcast because, it's not dead time. It's not dead time. If you go for like a 45-minute walk, that is an opportunity for your brain to chatter away at you.
That's true.
There's this monkey in your head chattering. It needs to be heard. And then by the time you've finished your walk, it stops because it's been heard. It's like a kid that needs to be heard. And it's now content to just relax. And then you've all that junk that's in your head from potentially consuming too much. You figure it out when you get home and you're like, I'm nice and peaceful going, I just need to do that, don't I? I don't need to do all that stuff. Just that one little thing there and I'll sort that out.
Yeah. I mean, I found that was huge for me. I mean, this is really one of the reasons why I've also slowed down in terms of the agency. And I mean, I've actually been giving away my agency clients to different people that I found. Because I mean, the model for me relied on too many people. I mean, when I was at my biggest, I was working pretty much with around 18 people in total. And it takes a long time to just manage people, talk with people from different time zones, and just go through everything. And this was like 2 years ago, pretty much. So, I mean, for me, the ideal really is a business that I can, if possible, but obviously it's not possible to completely, but if possible, to run it completely by yourself, because then you're in control of everything. And I mean, you can tailor it to be exactly what you need. And for me, really, it just took a lot of energy to manage people and to do this kind of work, basically, which I didn't enjoy as much as I enjoyed, as I said, teaching people and basically helping people out. And I think that obviously coaching, training, consulting, all of these are high value. The problem with them is obviously scale. But if you can figure out how to scale it, then you don't need that many resources to get it running at its full
there's
potential.
so many examples of one-man band, maybe with a few freelancers, VAs or whatever, helping the creator, I suppose, the creator economy now. But there's so many examples of people doing fabulous that I don't think you need. You don't need to. I don't need to create an agency where I hire really, really good AdWords consultants, Google Ads consultants to replace.
They're very expensive as well, so it's like they eat most of your margin. Where's the rest of the money left?
Yeah, but also like if I was to do that, that's me growing a consulting business where every client is different, bespoke. It's a new project. You need a project manager, potentially the Google Ads person.
That's how I was. Yeah.
Don't want
That's
that.
very hard to run.
I went down that route slightly. And the problem I had with that was like I'd hired, he was a freelancer, it wasn't even full time. And it was a guy I knew, trusted him, like 10 years working with him, brilliant at his job. He was doing the Google Ads campaigns. I was speaking to the client, but when I got on a call with the client, I didn't know what exactly was being done. I couldn't tell him the learnings. I couldn't tell him, we're trying this or we've tried that and this happened and blah, blah, blah. And then so that was missing. And then when the client would say, I've got this idea for such and such, I couldn't just literally go in and go find the area in the account where it might be, you know. So I kind of lost touch with what was going on. And I thought, as a Google Ads guy, I didn't like that. It was moving me, like you just said, away to being a manager of
Yeah.
the thing. And I don't want, I'm not in corporate anymore, because I like doing the techie work, and I want to figure out how to do the techie work and grow doing the techie work. I don't want to go up the ladder and be this and that. So I stopped doing that, which seems the opposite of what everyone says you should be doing. You should be delegating and outsourcing the skill that you do. But no, I actually like doing that. It's the work I've been doing for 10 years. I can't not do it. I tinker with it. But so potentially for me, I could have a few higher paid consulting clients, but that keeps the lights on while I try and, get clients all in the same niche, all in the same industry, the same offer. So it's saying, let's just say it's chiropractors. It's not chiropractors, but it was chiropractors. If you've got 10 chiropractors, by that time I've done 5 campaigns and landing pages and dialed in and all the conversion tracking, all that kind of stuff. We know
it's sort of similar.
I've got an SOP set up, and I can get my 14-year-old son to start creating them. And that's what I like to do, is just keep it in-house. Because something I heard and I liked was the phrase, keep your best training for your team.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if I put all my training thoughts into the training platform, I'm training other people, I'm not my own team. That's wrong. So hence me creating this SOPs area, I'm going to train my team and allow other people access to it. So my best stuff, I need my team, my kids now, the 14-year-old, it's going to be 12, and the 10-year-old. But like the 14-year-old is already doing the weekly reports for clients. He's been doing it a month. I pay him a little bit. The other 2 are like, that's so funny. I'm tucking a 11-year-old to bed, and he's like under the quilt, and his big eyes, he's like, when can I start doing reports? It's like, what other 12-year-old in the world is like, I want to do reports? Because he sees him getting a little bit of money, not much. Yeah. And I said, well, as soon as Daniel starts creating campaigns, I'll need someone else to do the reports.
And then you're coming in.
Yeah, you can come in. And then, but the other thing is, they know more about YouTube than me.
Oh, they do, for sure.
Each of them have their own little YouTube channel, edited some videos, like they've, only one video on each. But I'm like, right, I'd like to learn how to create these videos using these tools without having to have stacks of knowledge. Or maybe you could extract the stuff out of my videos, or I give you the bits I've extracted, and then you can go and create and add the scenes and the this and all the fancy blah. And it's something that a kid can do. And they will be super interested in that, because
they find it entertaining. Yeah,
it's interesting, it's entertaining. Oh, you got views, right? Okay, now shall we do one about soccer, and get the whole family creating like videos for a soccer? Yeah. And they can, it's a little project for us all, where it's something they're fascinated by anyway. Obviously they want to create gaming channels.
Yeah, it's very popular with the
but that so the fact that my kids are getting to the age where they're interested, and I'm now suddenly thinking more productized services, because I'm like, it's a way, it's actually, it's interesting. It's a way for me to train up my kids in business, more than to do the business. That's more interesting to me. But the whole thing of, if I can figure out a processor, I can create videos in the way that I do anyway, like by chatting to people. I could just extract bits and I could put them up on maybe a bit of B-roll, a bit of whatever. And I can get into this rhythm and create one a day or lots a day, but it's simple. And then it's simple enough, I can just outsource it once I've done it enough times. Like, so I've polished the process and I can just get someone else to do it. Maybe it's one of my kids, whatever. I think like yourself, I don't think you need a big team.
I think that's the big realization for me. But you do also need to make a mindset shift to be able to start thinking like this, because the problem that I see with a lot of people, and I mean, this was my biggest problem before as well, is that people get very easily distracted and they sort of lack focus. And if you lack focus and you try to do so many things in a day, right, you stop understanding what's really important. And when that happens and you're trying to do more and more and more, there's always the temptation to add more people, add more resources, add more this and that. And it just grows on its own after a certain point. And it takes over you, right? You just have to keep up with it from that point. But that's just because you're doing so many things, half of which you could just stop and you wouldn't be affected in any negative way. Being able to achieve that focus is, I find, very important. And I mean, part of the way that I've done it is by just consuming less content on social media and these platforms, because they can become huge distractions beyond a certain point. So for example, for me, I prefer to now batch my time every day, and I batch them in certain batches. Like there can be a batch where I'm doing technical work or working on the trainings or improving the trainings. There can be a batch when I'm doing marketing, and I break them up like that. Sometimes I have whole days where today is just for marketing and creating content and pushing it out and whatnot. Tomorrow is just on improving the trainings. The day after is just on working on our software and improving that. And just separating them like that, instead of being distracted and jumping from task to task and trying to do everything, I end up just being a lot more productive, and I get a lot more done. And I found that that was really a game changer for me.
Yeah, very good. I will try that. I'm not great at that. I do bounce around. Although,
I mean, it's good to have times when you can bounce around, because I mean, this is really what gives you the creativity. But I think that it should be structured. Like this time is for bouncing around, right? And then you have times when it's for this and that and that. And just putting things in blocks like that was very helpful for me. Rather than having specific tasks, you know, because you can have specific tasks, and then you start thinking, oh, but this is better that way, and you start combining them and they get all mixed up, right? And when your mind is distracted like that, it's hard to know what to focus on and to give it the energy that it deserves. So it's much better to just set up blocks of time and know what you're working on, and then just stay focused on that. You can jump from task to task in terms of that specific thing, but just stay on the same theme, so to speak.
Yeah, I think I do. I just don't do it as intentionally, but I should maybe just block it in my calendar. That's a good idea. A game changer thing for me, kind of an aha moment. I think at the start of the year, Alex Hormozy, whatever his name is. Hormozy.
Yeah, I know.
He said that he quoted a book that I'd read and I hadn't spotted it. Ready, Fire, Aim.
Yeah, I have it somewhere.
Yeah. He said in that there was
I haven't read it, but I have it. So
I've listened to it. I've listened to it. The first I've listened to it twice. I won't listen to it again. I often, what happens is I'll listen to a book, and even like in the intro, I'll get one little thing. I'll go do that, and then I forget to finish the book. But I think that's kind of a good thing to do. I don't mind that. But he quoted a bit out of the book, and it was like, if you're under 1 million revenue a year, focus on one channel, one avatar, one product. I was like, oh my God.
I've heard him say that. I didn't know it was from the book. I mean, it's funny because I started the book and I got to the first chapter or something, and he just said that the first thing you should do is sales. And I don't know why, but I sort of lost interest in the book at that point.
I know you've read up again. But he's obviously very well read, and he's also got a lot of experience, and he combines it all and puts his own spin on it. What he's doing is he's quoting he's standing on the shoulders of giants as well. So he's like, that's how you get really good, isn't it? But as soon as I heard that, one channel, one avatar, one product, I was like, oh my God, I'm trying to sell consulting or Google Ads done for you services. And even that is split between consulting, productized services. And occasional e-commerce pops up, and I keep trying to stay on lead gen. So I'm trying to focus the Google Ads done for you. And that's a battle in itself. And I'm trying to sell a course, which is a completely different market, completely different from the DIY done for you. So then I just stopped anything to do with YouTube this year. I was like, right, I vowed, right, I won't do anything for the first 6 months of this year, just focus on that. And I've been so busy just focusing on done for you, trying not to do consulting, trying not to do e-commerce, pushing that away to other agencies, and then just trying to focus on specific industries. And then my channel, for me, the channel is being white labeled pretty much, because they do all the amazing. Here's 10 clients. Okay, deadly. That's great. And now I'm kind of allowing myself to look at YouTube, and it's almost like, I've kind of discussed it with, it might have been with Lex. It's like a hobby. This is my hobby. YouTube stuff is a hobby. Video editing I find fun, and that's like 2 hours is gone.
Entertaining,
It's my little hobby, but it's a great little hobby, because if I figure it out, I can figure out how to sell my courses potentially, because there's video courses on selling on video. But also if I can figure out how to create videos in particular niches, you can put the ad spend behind the videos and boost them. Figure that out. That's part of Google Ads.
Yeah.
It's all part of the same thing. So that's my little hobby, and I'm allowing myself, and honestly, I'm spending way too much time on it because it's just, it fascinates me, which is actually a good sign, you know. Whereas I had to force myself to post once a day on Twitter. It's like, oh, really? Do I have to?
Oh, yeah, I see.
I have to post. Oh, I have to do LinkedIn. I have to log in. You know. Whereas now it's like you can't log in. You're not allowed to log in. Stop doing or whatever. So even though it's not one channel, one avatar, one product, I'm allowing myself to do it because I also think it's going to feed in, bring through clients anyway. You know, just getting more stuff up on, because there will be a ton of people. If we can, like you back to you said, if I can make it accessible to the people who aren't my ideal market, there's more of them. And if they enjoy it and it's less techie and geeky, and then they share it and more people see it, then it just helps get the reach of that low 1% or the 0.1% of them who are actually going to go, oh, that's interesting, and then come, you know, they might come through as potentially clients. But you know, and then the other thing, it helps more people, and if you help more people, it'll all come back to you eventually.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the things that I find interesting in terms of building a business in a field that has to do with services. I mean, these are the people that I help really and that I work with, is that the big thing for most people is figuring out exactly who they're helping and what result they're helping them to get. Because sort of once you have the person and the result, and obviously the how you help them, which is also important, but the people and the result, they're the most important, because that's what people buy, right? So people pay you money because they want a certain result, and you have whatever they need to get that result. And they can get it cheaper or faster with you than they can do it alone, or with less risk, because that's also an important factor. So if that happens, then they buy. And I mean, my whole approach to business is really built from that foundation of, you know, asking the question of basically, why do people buy things in the first place? And for me, the answer is that everybody buys something because they're looking for a transformation that they desire. And that thing, whatever it is, can help them obtain that transformation in a way that they can't do it without that thing. They can't do it on their own, and so on. And I found this supremely useful for my own business while I was building my agency. And I mean, with the people that I've worked with so far, they have also found it very, very useful, because most people, they come into this online service business with a mindset of, I'm selling a service. And when you think of yourself as selling a service, you really forget that people don't actually buy services, right? They buy transformations. And I think that when you switch the mindset to that, then suddenly a lot of things click. And that's what happened with me. And I mean, that's what happens with a lot of the people that I've helped.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Yeah, that we could have a chat about that as well. I'm sure another hour. What I'll do is I'll let you get away for your lunch or whatever, because I know actually you're 2 hours ahead of me.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm glad we caught up, because we've been meaning to for a little bit, and it's good. And we have recorded it, even though my sign, whatever. You know what? But the last little video I put up, I had good feedback on it. Nobody mentioned anything about the video quality, and it pixelated a lot. Nobody mentioned anything about sound quality, because I was just using a headset, and this is even worse than a headset. Nobody.
I mean, the sound is very good on my end, so
nobody's ever said any of that. So it just goes to show that all the folks saying you need the camera, you need the mic, you need the no. Just
I think it's about the value ultimately, right? So it's the content that really is what creates value for people. Obviously, if the content is also entertaining, that's a big plus, right? But I think that the people who care most about it, obviously they care about, and I mean, that's the same for me, right? I listen to a lot of stuff and a lot of long videos, for example, on YouTube, just if I like the content and if I find the content to be valuable.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, well, this could be where this ends up. I'll chat to you about that later on. All right.
Awesome. Awesome. So thank you.